I can remember in my first church, the first church I served, in Jonestown, Pennsylvania, there was a gentleman who regularly taught Sunday school for a class that we called the young adult class at the time. And he made a statement one time that really stuck with me. It impressed me then, and it has stayed with me throughout my ministry. I've shared it many times. And John made this statement. He said that we as Christians and as the church in particular, are always just one generation away from extinction. You see, the point of that statement seemed at the time to emphasize the importance of you and me to share our faith with others. That if we do not evangelize, and I know some people are uncomfortable with that word, but if we are not evangelical about our faith, if we do not share it with others, then the church will cease to exist and the Christian faith will disappear. Now, I don't believe that's ever going to happen, but we are always just one generation away. And as I thought about that, not only in terms of evangelism, but in terms of our responsibilities as individuals, and particularly within the family unit, I was reminded of a passage from the book of Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, the book of Deuteronomy, fifth book of the Old Testament, in chapter 4, verse 9. The New Revised Standard Version reads like this: "But take care and watch yourselves closely, so as neither to forget the things that your eyes have seen, nor to let them slip from your mind all the days of your life. Make them known to your children and your children's children." Another translation made it even more clear. It said, "to your children and to your grandchildren." That really resonated with me as a grandfather now 3 times over. The importance of parenting is oh so critical today. I know, and people tell me all the time, parenting has changed, how we do it has changed, and how we raise our children may be different, but it's important. It's as important as ever that we pass along our faith, not only to strangers on the street, not only around the world through the work of missionaries, but that we pass on our faith to our children and to our grandchildren. Cheryl and I raised 2 children. Sometimes it feels like we're still raising them a little bit, but they are great kids, now adults who have done well. They have married, they have their own children, and we are oh so proud of them. But I want you to know that when they were growing up, the issues that we faced as parents and that they faced as children and teens, they were not different from anybody else, not from any of their friends, not from anyone you can imagine. Being a preacher's kid doesn't give you a fast pass to heaven. In fact, some might say it makes life even more challenging. But our kids face the same issues. Our children wanted to do things that sometimes we allowed and sometimes we had to say no to. My son was very active in Little League sports and would want to go out with his friends and leave for events. I still remember his basketball days when he was in elementary school. They played in a league down in Lancaster County that played many teams in York County. And many of those games started at noon or at 1 on a Sunday afternoon. Even in the Little League football that he played in, we said, "Justin, you have to be in Sunday school and you have to go to church. After that, you're welcome to do whatever you need to do." And so many a Sunday came where Justin would be in Sunday school and worship. And after the message, during the offering, if he wanted to slip out and change into his basketball or football uniform, he would go to the end of the building and a parent, prearranged, would swing by, one of the other parents, swing by and pick him up and take him off to his sporting events. Cheryl and I would join just as soon as we could afterwards, but our priority was clear, that we will be in worship. We will be in church. And so we passed that on to our children. As a preacher's kid, I can honestly tell you that my children have told me it's hard to be the pastor's kid because it's hard to find a church that when all you've ever known is your dad as the pastor. But they're thriving and they're doing well. And I believe embracing many of the values that we gave them as parents. Joseph and Mary, getting back to Christmas, Joseph and Mary were proactive in their parenting. It says in the second chapter of Luke, verses 39 and 40, it says, when they, Joseph and Mary, had finished everything required by the law of the Lord. That's the good stuff, the easy stuff, the stuff that people celebrate, and the hard stuff. When they had finished everything that had been required by the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their own town of Nazareth. The child, who we know as Jesus, grew and became strong, filled with wisdom, and the favor of God was upon him. Friends, I just want you to know that when the things that we teach our children will come back someday, we plant the seeds, and it's for them to be nurtured. It's for us to help nurture them, but only they will perhaps see the fruit of those plantings. They may be the only ones who ever see how the seeds that we plant will come to fruition. But that doesn't relieve us of any responsibility to plant those seeds. There are many life lessons we could talk about today, but I don't want to go on too long, other than to say this. One of the things we taught our children was the importance of giving back to God. And so it became an important feature in our household. The children never received an allowance until they were able to count, make change, and understand that the first 10% goes to God. Each of our children started out getting just $1 per period, whatever that period may have been. And they both understood that the first 10 cents goes to God. The second 10 cents goes into the piggy bank. And the rest of it, the 80 cents, they can spend or save for something big. But God always comes first. Well, you can't imagine how heartwarming it was for me to hear this year with my grandson in first grade that my son and daughter-in-law had started giving him an allowance. And just like we did for Justin, they give him an allowance in dimes so that the first 10%, the first dime, can go to God. And I believe they require 20%, 20 cents going into the piggy bank. But however you do it afterwards, the important thing is the first 10% goes to God. That's a life lesson that will stick with you. And it was a few months after they started doing that my grandson ran up to me as I was leaving the house one day, said, "Pop, would you please put this in the church? Would you take this and give it to God?" Because they weren't coming back yet because of COVID. And he knew that this money was meant for God. And so he gave it to me, and I put it in an envelope, and I marked it for Austin Raffoff. This is his gift to God. Friends, the lessons we teach our children, the things we pass on to our children and our grandchildren will come back to bear fruit one day. It's up to you and I to be the proactive, bold, faith-filled parents and grandparents that God has called us and placed us here to be. Don't be afraid, don't be timid, and don't be shy about being a Christian in your family. Your children and your grandchildren are counting on your faithful witness. Friends, thanks for bearing with me in this long message today, and may God be with you till we meet again.